Let's welcome back in our senior insider, Shams Charania. Shams, what's new?
The Atlanta Hawks are continuing their busy last couple of weeks. I'm told they have reached agreement on a 4-year, $62 million deal with free agent Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I'm told the sides have reached an agreement here tonight, the Atlanta Hawks, as well as his representatives at CA Aaron Mintz, Austin Brown, Stephen Human. And so this is a departure from Minnesota for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. We know two-way ability, where he's able to shoot the ball, defend at a high level, even against his cousin Shea in the playoffs. So he's gone. And the Atlanta Hawks over the last couple weeks have added Kristaps Porzingis at center and now Nickeil Alexander-Walker in the backcourt and wings.
Shams, thank you so very much for that insight. It's been a busy season here for the Atlanta Hawks. Brian, you were nodding your head when you heard that deal come in.
This is an impact signing. A lot of people would believe Nickeil Alexander-Walker is maybe the best point guard available on the open free agent market. I'll wait for Bobby. I think this is probably a sign-and-trade maneuver. But if you look at what they've done here, they've added Kristaps Porzingis. They did lose Caris LeVert tonight. Caris LeVert is going to move on to the Detroit Pistons. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a championship-level guard. Can play multiple different positions. He's probably going to come off the bench for them, which again, depth. This is a team that has a lot of young athletes. And I want to say, in the Eastern Conference, we often are focusing on the teams that are coming down because of injury. Boston, Indiana, Milwaukee. What about the teams on the rise? The Hawks saw an opportunity to take a step forward. That's what they are doing.
It seems like a perfect opportunity. Our new teammate, Kaka, the Atlanta Hawks are coming. I think of Tyrese Halliburton. When I interviewed him in the NBA Finals, he said that we don't want to be the Atlanta Hawks from 2021. Right. Yeah. We wanted to remind people that we weren't here as a mirage. We were here for a reason. Atlanta clearly heard that because we talk about taking an opportunity in the Eastern Conference. Atlanta's offseason moves, they seem to be doing just that.
No doubt. They're not idle, and I do like these moves, and you look at their approach seems to be continued to improve their defenses. Now you put a guy like Nickeil Alexander-Walker out there with the Dyson Daniels. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about two lockdown corners on the floor at the same time. You also had a Porzingis who could protect the rim. Health's always going to be a factor with Kristaps Porzingis. You've got Jalen Johnson there who's going to be the future eventually. So the Atlanta Hawks, yes, absolutely. They've been very busy, very active, rounding out their team. I like the moves that they have made. At the end of the day, though, it's going to come down to the same question you and I were talking about earlier. Is Trae Young the guy that's going to lead you to the promised land? And that's what you have to buy into.
And I love it, too, because you lost DeAndre Hunter. So you bring in another guy who can guard perimeter, who can do the dirty work on the defensive end. You bring in Porzingis. You have the #1 assist guy in the league. Lord knows he's going to get him the ball and make sure he gets shots. But is he the guy that's going to lead your team? You've had other guys come in. You had the DeJounte Murrays. You've brought in other guys to help Trae Young get to that level that he thinks he can get to. It hasn't happened. So you can put the pieces around, but do you have the right ingredients? I mean, you have the right ingredients, but can you bake the cake? And I think that's what we're looking at right now. Can Trae Young lead these guys? Great job in the offseason, Atlanta, but is your star, is your leader, is your guy prepared to take those guys to the next level?
Let's take a deeper look at some of those ingredients. Chef Marks, what do we see?
Well, listen, we're only 51 minutes in, and this thing was already starting to smoke. The lights started flashing before here. I was nervous we weren't being able to use it here. All right, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, $14.1 million. He is going to Atlanta. As Brian mentioned, potential, most likely sign-and trade. So right. What does that mean in a sign-and trade? They still have the non-tax mid-level exception, $14.1 million to go out and free agent shop. 168.9 luxury taxes, 188, plenty of room. $20 million. Why would Minnesota do this? They create a small trade exception, and they help Nickeil Alexander-Walker get to Atlanta here. It's been a terrific offseason for Atlanta. Remember, take advantage of the Eastern Conference. The Eastern Conference is wide open. We'll certainly keep an eye on Trae Young. Extension eligible for $222.
Head Baker Marks, thank you so very much. Mr. Spears, it sounds like we need a grade here for the Atlanta Hawks because they have been busy. They have certainly kept things interesting. I like all of their moves. How do you feel about them?
I'm giving them an A.
A for Atlanta.
A for Atlanta. And they're challenging Houston. I don't know if they got Houston beat, but I know one person that's happy is Trae Young. I talked to Trae at the beginning of the finals in Oklahoma City. And he was, he's keeping an eye on things, the same way you guys are talking about LeBron keeping an eye on things. Trae's been keeping an eye on things. He has a big extension that he can send this summer. But I talked to people close to him. They say Trae is ecstatic. He got Porzingis. He got Nickeil. He wants to keep adding some shooting. He still has his young guys. Jalen Johnson's going to get healthy. Trae is excited about this team. I'm sure he'll get this extension. And now the Hawks they're a contender. They're a contender in the East now.
Mr. Spears, given an A to the A here, UD.
The A.
An A to the A. When you're looking at Atlanta, though, he says contender for them. That's certainly what these moves are indicating. They are trying to make some noise in an Eastern Conference that all of a sudden is wide open. Do you think that Trae Young is the guy that can continue to do that? We talked about his extension eligibility here.
I think he's capable. I think the questions that we have about Trae Young has nothing to do with what he's able to do on the basketball court. It's about accountability and leadership, and that's it. Because when you're the best player on the basketball court and you're the best player on your team, you got to understand that everybody's watching you. Everybody's going to follow you and follow suit in what you do. So just being there early, making sure you stay late, setting the tone for guys, holding guys to a standard and holding yourself to a standard. I think that's where you look at it with Trae Young. Acting like a champion before you become a champion. Those are the only things that we have to worry about with Trae Young. The way he produces on the basketball court, leading the league in assists with the last couple of years, can put the ball in the hole at a high rate and a high clip, can shoot it 2 steps across the half-court line. We understand that about Trae Young. Has he matured and grown as a leader? Because now you have the pieces, so there is no excuses. You want that extension? To much whom is given, much is required, Trae Young.
Do you have a aha?
Now I got an 8-town stump if you don't get it done. I got an 8-town stump if you don't get it done. Now you got your pieces.
Oh, my goodness.
Wanna try to boast at what I look like. Think I'm gonna try to wear, I pull up all brains. Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. It's NBA over here,